Hey guys, this is Return to Tennis. I'm Aaron. Thanks for returning. So, we've got our rackets back from the stringers. We're waiting for the weather to break a little bit here. We're going to see if the courts are dry. We're going to get out and hit them, see how they feel. We're going to be testing some strings out today. We haven't tried yet. We've got the Solenko. This is still my go-to racket. I hit a lot of stuff and I test a lot of stuff, but this is still my go-to. The Solenko Whiteout 305. Of course, I have altered the weight. I've added the heavier butt cap, make it 315. I replaced it with this thick Turner grip that's like 30 grams of weight on the handle. So it's probably in the 335, 337 range right now, maybe 340. But we had it restrung, ready to go for next time we got match play or we go to drills this weekend. We had it restrung with the Firewire Boost from Tier 1. This is the Firewire in the mains, the Ghost Wire in the cross. It's a poly-poly hybrid. Supposed to be good spin, but feels soft, I guess. Have some control in there. We're going to hit this and see how it goes. But that's not all we're testing out today. We are also testing out that Volkl Power Bridge 8 that we picked up. We went and got it restrung. We hit it with the original strings in it that were pretty bad. And I hit it really well. I was kind of surprised. It's a lighter racket. We put the Wasabi Red from Toro line in here, spin string. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've got a couple more packets on the way. I'd like to be stocked on something if I hear it's a good product. We're going to hit this as well. I strung both of these at 58 pounds, which is, honestly, I know that sounds really high to a lot of you, but for me, that's a step down. I usually string it at max, and 60 is the max on both these frames. But anyway, that's not all. So, we're out treasure hunting. Like I said, I like to go around to the used sporting goods stores like Play It Again Sports we have in the area. I've been to 2 of them near my home. One of them had the Technofiber T-Fights at 300 grams, but they were pretty badly beat up. I passed on those. That's about all they had in there that was really worth mentioning, and they didn't have a lot. I went to another store that's a little north of me, not too far from me, and it was abysmal. They didn't have anything. Like, they had a bunch of, ready to go store rackets that you'd get at like Walmart, like 25 bucks, 19.99, kind of pre-strung. They're brand new. They're all brand new. They're not used. But not, come on. That's it? So I found out there was another store that was even further north of me, in a place called Westerville, Ohio. It was about 25 minutes away. So I was like, okay, well, let's cruise up there. We won't have any, high expectations there. Found their rackets. Found some surprises. Started digging through. I found now one of my previous videos I said that I had a Wilson Hammer. Was one of my earlier rackets when I was young in high school that I tried. It's part of my racket history video. I was wrong. It was not a Wilson Hammer. It was a Wilson Pro Staff 5.5 because I found one. I found one at the Play It Again Sports. Wide beam, large head, like 110 square inches, super wide beam. And I saw it, and it was like pretty cheap, and I felt kind of nostalgic, and I looked at it, and I was like, wow, this is not, I could really, and then I thought about it, and I said, I remembered, I hated this racket. I'm not buying this, and I put it back on the shelf. They had a Stalwart graphite that was almost in mint condition. I'm not interested in it, but it was kind of cool to see. They had a Mizuno Reactor Light, which you've never seen one of those. The grommets are staggered as it goes around the hoop. They're not in a straight line. So they move up and down along the hoop, and the strings all come in at angles. They had it, and it was almost near mint condition. Again, I don't want a Mizuno. They had a Spalding graphite I hadn't seen before. They had a Wilson K-Blade. I was kind of shocked with some of the selection. They had a Prince Mono. Now, if you've never seen a Prince Mono, go look it up. It's probably the ugliest racket ever made. Whoever designed or came up with that idea, Prince, should have been fired. I've never seen one in person, and let me tell you, it's even uglier in person. It looks like a wooden racket, but made of graphite. So it's a straight beam. There's no V-throat on it. It's a straight up beam into a hoop. And so of course I didn't buy that. It's horrible. I did stop by another store today and checked out what they had. I found out there was one more store far east side of where I'm at. So I went over and took a look. Again, pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect much there because of where they're located, but they had 3 Donne rackets that I had not seen before. One of them even had a weighted handle. They had a weed. A weed is from Columbus, Ohio, actually, and they are known for large head size, like super, super big, kind of like the Gammas do. Really big. They had one of those. They had a Snalwart that I hadn't seen before. They had 2 Bobble-Lot Pure Strikes, and they weren't in bad shape. They were really older models, like first generation, second generation Pure Strikes. They wanted too much for them. I wasn't going to pay what they wanted. I'm not big on Bobble-Lot. They're good. They're good. It's just not me. But they had some interesting frames in there, but not anything I wanted. But the first store I stopped at in Westerville, I went through everything they had. They didn't have what anything that I wanted. They had some interesting rackets, but not anything I wanted. But before I left, I looked down on the floor and I saw a Volkl racket cover laying on the floor. And I said, I wonder if there's a racket in it. Picked it up. Sure enough, there's a racket in here. Open it up. First thing I see black, gold, white. I found another power bridge. Let's see what kind of shape it's in. I reach in, I pull the racket out. Not a power bridge. It is a Yonex. This is a Yonex rqis. There it is. It's on the frame. rqis 30. I'm not familiar with this. I took it. It needed regripped. I had it regripped. I had it restrung. I put the ghost wire in it from Tier 1. It's a softer poly. This racket is really light. I haven't got a weight on it yet, but it's probably going to come in around 275. Maybe with a different grip on it, maybe 280. It's going to be the lightest frame I've got. $25. And I got to keep the cover, even though it's not a Yonex cover, it's a Volkl cover. I got to keep the cover. So now my Volkl has a cover, and I've got this $25 Yonex. It's in pretty good shape. I mean, it's got a couple of chips. It has one really bad chip there in the hoop. But the rest of it is really solid. They had put a ton of lead weight on this. I spent 15 minutes trying to get lead off of it because I wanted to hit it in its closest to its stock form. They had probably about 12 to 14 grams of lead on the hoop. They had lead at 3 and 9, and they had it at 11 and 1. So we're gonna go out. As soon as the courts are dry, we're gonna go out and we're gonna hit these frames. I'm gonna test out these new strings that I've got. I've never hit these strings before. We're gonna test out this frame, and who knows, I might have something else to compare it to. We'll see. We'll see you guys here in a minute. All right, guys, here we go. First up is the Solenko Whiteout, strung with the Firewire Boost. That's Firewire in the mains, Ghost Wire in the cross. It is a poly-poly hybrid setup from Tier 1. I enjoy it. I like it. I get good spin out of the Firewire, and the Ghost Wire kind of softens it a little bit as far as comfort. Normally I would string it max tension, which would be 60 pounds on the Solenko Whiteout. I did drop the tension down a little bit to 58. We're trying to play with some lower tensions to see if that'll help our elbow a little bit. So it's going to be a gradual process. I'm not used to playing at lower tension, so I kind of have to get used to that little bit of extra oomph that I get out of the strings. I did notice a difference right away. I was hitting the ball a little deeper than normal, and really good spin. I mean, I was catching the ball. When I caught it clean, it would come down and drop right in the back of the court. And then if I really whipped my arm on it, I could dump it over the net really short. So I really like the string, and I like the setup. I'm not sure if I like it as well as Solenko's setup, their hybrid string setup, which was I did have that on at first. It was the Tour Bite and the Vanquish from Solenko. But I think I get used to this a little bit. I'll really enjoy this setup. Now, one complaint that I've come across with the Firewire, if you go over to a channel called Time 410S, that's Time and then 410S. It's a great channel. He does some reviews of products, kind of his own journey on trying to find a racket that he likes and plays. He likes to play a lot of extended frames. So if you're interested in extended frames, definitely check his channel out. He did not like the Firewire string as much as the Toro line Wasabi. His big complaint with the Tier 1 Firewire is it had poor snapback. I didn't encounter that with this setup. With the Firewire Boost setup, you have the ghost wire in the crosses, and it allows the Firewire to slide back into position a lot better. So it's a little different, but I liked it. It had great spin. It was nice to get out, I'll tell you that, after several days of not being able to hit. All right, guys, here we go. Next up, we are hitting the Volkl Power Bridge 8, strung with the Wasabi Red from Toro line. Man, this racket's a lot lighter than I'm accustomed to. There was a one-handed backhand. It was still painful, but it was a nice one. attempted the slice. It wasn't too bad. This Toro Line Wasabi Red is a very nice string for spin. I mean, right away, of course, right away I was able to hit forehands really clean. I also strung this a couple pounds below max, just like I did with the Solenko, to try to get used to the lower tensions. I don't like hitting backhands with this racket as much as I do hitting forehands with it. I just have a harder time getting a nice groove with it, hitting backhands. Forehands feel really good with the Volkl. I mean, really good. We did have a constant issue today with the slinger bag jamming. Just for whatever reason, balls don't drop in. I have to go over and stir it up and get it back going again. The Volkl isn't a great racket. I'm actually in the market in hunting for a Volkl C10 Pro model. I want to see how a heavier frame from Volkl plays, because I like the power bridge. That was a nice clean forehand. But like I said, this racket's coming at like 285 grams, and it's just feels very light. But I do get good drive out of it, and I do get good contact. It is a 100 square inch, which is a little bit bigger than some of the other stuff I have. I've been usually hitting 97s and 98s, a little bit bigger in size. But overall, I like the Wasabi Red. A little bit more, I would say, depth and a little bit more spin out of it than maybe I'm getting out of the Firewire Boost. But it's a solid string, except when I do something like that, hit into the fence. So I can't seem to get a good feel on the backhands with the Volkl. That one probably dropped in. I'm just not sure what it is about this frame. See, that was a good one, right back at the bag. It doesn't allow me to get that rhythm off the backhands. The Solenko, I started hitting two-handed backhands almost immediately. But completely opposite situation on the forehand side. I can start hitting a nice groove of forehands like immediately with the Volkl. And with this new, having it restrung with this fresh string, this Wasabi Red from Toro Line, I was spinning balls in really well. Again, another quality string from Toro Line, right up there with their ether. I like their ether string as well. We're gonna hit some more balls here with this, and then we're gonna move on to a third racket that we're reviewing with another string. So continue to view, and we're gonna get to another change up here momentarily. All right, here we go. As promised, third racket. We picked this racket up at Play It Again Sports for $25. It is the Yonex rqis 30. I have no idea when this racket was made, but for 25 bucks, I figured, what the heck? We strung it up with the Tier 1 Ghost Wire soft poly. It is strung at max tension. 60 pounds was the max recommendation for this frame. That is what we strung it at. Good string. It is very soft. Once I got a good groove going with this racket, I was hitting some very nice forehands. But mishits were not very forgiving on the arm. It is super light. This racket is the lightest racket I have. It comes in at 275 grams. This racket is so light, I'm actually going to have my son swing it and see how he feels swinging it. He's playing with a junior racket right now, but he's very close to that size and that height where he could play an adult racket. I'm going to let him try it out and see what he feels about it. Spin was good with this racket. It is a Yonex after all, and good spin. I hit some solid backhands with it. I was pleasantly surprised. A little whippy, and I think that's because of how light it is. But the balance on it is almost even. It's not really very head light or head heavy. It's right. If anything, it's maybe 1 point head light is how it feels. When I balance it on my finger at the throat bar, it almost balanced perfectly. So it's pretty even on its balance, and it swings really clean, but again, it's very light. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. Again, it's not a bad, for 25 bucks, it's a good buy. I mean, I'm not to shake your finger at for $25. We did come across some other Yonex rackets recently on clearance sale at a couple of places. Found a couple at Play It Again Sports. Found a 100 square inch racket, matte black. Looked like a small frame version of an RQ380. They didn't want too much money for it. They wanted like $80 for it. I'm like, no, pass. But this one for $25 is a bargain, and it's a solid racket. The Ghost Wire from Tier 1 is a solid string, nice and soft. I could feel, even though it was strung very high in the tension, it felt still kind of plush. So it was not a bad setup, but again, not for me. This racket's too light. But as promised, oh, there was a two-handed slice backhand attempt, and actually it wasn't too bad, but not very comfortable to try. There it was again. I sent that one into the fence. So we have one more surprise racket for you that we were able to snag off the discount rack at Tennis Limited. So hang in there. We'll finish out this one or jump ahead and see what it is. All right, guys, as promised, ezone 100, the Yonex ezone 100. This was a 2020 model. It is a demo racket that was put into the sale pile on clearance at Tennis Limited. The new Yonex ezones are out, the 2022s. They have a new paint job. So all of the old ezones with the original blue paint are being clearanced by a lot of places like Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Limited. The PGA store that I visited recently and sent some pictures on my Instagram of, they had a huge tennis department. I was really kind of surprised by it. They had clearanced them. But this demo model was being let go for $100. And it was actually in pretty good condition. It was in as good of condition as the Yonex rqis 30 that I picked up for $25. So I figured, what the heck, we'll grab it. We strung it with Tier 1 Strike Force Rip, which is kind of more of a spin string, I think. A control string. The recommended tension for this racket, like play tension, the happy medium was posted online as being 53 pounds. Its max tension is 60. We strung it at 55 to play with that lower range tension. I like the racket. A night and day difference between this and the Yonex rqis 30. The major difference being the weight. I think the rqis 30 is 102 square inches. That one-handed backhand hurt. Slice was nice, but a little painful still. But the rqis 30 was 102 square inches at 275 grams. This one is 100 square inches and it's at 340 grams. The only drawback to this being a demo is that it was a 4 1/4 handle on the grip, 4 1/4 grip on the handle. I need a 4 1/2, so I overwrapped it with a Wilson thin replacement grip to bulk the handle up, but that's probably what put it in that 340 gram category for weight. Hits really nice, fairly stable. The Strike Force Rip string hits pretty good. Not a bad string at all. I might play this at drills tomorrow morning, just to mess around with it. It's a nice racket. I enjoyed it. But that's the end of this, guys. There's several more minutes of me just hitting this frame, hitting two-handed backhands and one-handed forehands with it. Oh, here we go. The slinger bag has decided to jam up again. Let's trot on over and give it a stir. I'm not sure how Slinger can make an adjustment in the feeding system for this, but it jammed on every racket that I hit today. It just stopped feeding balls. Now I'm sure if I stood there and waited, it eventually would spit a ball out, but I shouldn't have to stand there and wait 3 or 4 minutes for it to straighten itself out. That's a bit excessive. But when we can take 25, 30 seconds, run over, give it a stir, come back and restart it. But in any case, guys, thanks for tuning in. I know this was a bit of a long video. If you slogged your way through it, I appreciate it. Throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. We have more rackets on the way. I seem to have developed an addiction. But I'm going to not reveal what they are just yet. I've got some surprises coming, guys. Some things you probably have not seen in a very long time. And if you're a younger player, you probably have not seen it all. So we got them coming though, and we'll get them up on the channel here soon. That's all for now. We will now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. See you next time, guys.